Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. Did you ever felt like you are just going through the motion? Like you are not really living your own life to the fullest? If so, you are not alone. In today's world, it's easier than ever to get sucked into a never-ending cycle of distraction, thanks to our phone and social media. But what if I told you that there is a way to break free, that you can reclaim your time, your focus, and your life? In this video, we're going to reveal the truth about how our phones are manipulating us and how we can take back control. We will talk about the science of addiction, the power of dopamine, and the practical steps you can take to break free from your phone and start living your best life. So, if you are ready to make a change, stick around. This video is for you.
I really want to understand the reason we don't succeed. And it's all about your time. You see, you have a limited amount of attention and focus to give. You can't focus on everything. It's impossible. In fact, a recent research has been published in Science magazine shows that we spend 46.9% of our days with the mind steerable away from many tasks that we should be doing. That is almost half of your day gone. For what? Simply not being able to focus. So you might think you have a 16 waking hours of your day, but you don't. Out of the entire 24 hours, you only have 8 actual usable time. Now, there is a way to train yourself to become more focused and minimizing the amount of time your mind spends wandering. In 2019, the average person will spend 44.6 days per year on their phone. I mean, really reflect on that for just a minute. But today, it's 63 days. All of a sudden, 17.5% doesn't seem molecules anymore. And that's only account for phone use. If you factor the total screen time, meaning that the time you spend on your computer or watching TV or whatever, that number will dramatically rise. The average Gen Z spends 9 hours on their phone daily. That is 37.5% of our entire day staring at screen for what? Over the course of the year, that is 136 days. Worse still, that this trend shows no sign for slowing down. Can you even imagine that? That is 1/3 of your entire year. Meaning that we already spent 1/3 of your entire year sleeping. That means 2/3 of your waking hours you are choosing to spend, a third simply staring at screen. I mean, no wondering you can't get anything done. If you keep going down this road, you will spend over the third of your entire life staring at screen. So if you live, let's say 18 years old, you're gonna spend 13 years on your screen, wasting on cheap dopamine and endless scrolling. So let's get back to our sentences scenario. The average person's sentences for murder in UK is 15 to 13 years. And as I said, you have been convicted to the 30 years in jail. You are just throwing away 13 years of your life. For what? A few memes? Now the question is, if we all agree that we convicted to the 30 years, pretty much that your life is over. Why? You are completely fine with that spending the same 13 years of your life on your phone. If you really think about that, both experience are not that different. At the end of the day, in both scenarios, you are just sitting there trying to find a way for time to pass by. You are not leaving, you are just passing the time. So ask yourself, would you really rather spend 13 years scrolling on your screen, chasing cheap dopamine, rather than living your actual life and making your best life you have imagined? Probably not. I mean, that is an insane amount of time. Think about what would happen if you're addicting yourself to something for even 1/10 of that. Now, if you switch your phone time to something protective, you had hit the 10,000 hours rule in just 3 years. You don't know what is the 10,000 hours rule is. It's basically the idea to become an expert at anything. You need only to spend 10,000 hours doing it. So now, let me ask you this. Is that what you want to be expert at? Staring at screen and doing nothing? You want to be that guy? The guy who sent the best memes? Is that what you want to be knowing for? We both know the answer for this. Now the question is, why you are still doing it? Why you constantly on your phone? Listen, let's be honest. I know that isn't your first time you thought about these things. Yet, you already got the conclusion that you spend way too much time on your phone. Yet, even when you are trying to stop, you always end up to going back to your old ways. So the question is why? And here is everything got interesting. There is a very specific reason to why. If you're tired of decreasing your screen time before and you haven't been able to do it, That is constantly not your fault. Here is why. Think about all the companies vying for your attention. I mean, really think about the market force at play. Think about fact that your phone was produced by a company worth almost $3 trillion, and they spent the last 16 years perfecting their product. Once you open your phone, you are facing with a sea of billions, even trillions dollars company, all vying for the same reason, your attention. I mean, if you look at the most popular social media companies, you really got to understand of their side. I mean, let's name just a few. TikTok is worth estimating $225 billion. Meta, who owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, has a market cap of $900 billion. Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube, is worth $1.7 trillion. And if you add Twitter and Snapchat into the mix, the total market cap of these companies is $2.8 trillion. These companies have a level of power that they do. They spend billions optimizing every single details, my friend. There is no accident on their app. Nothing is random. Everything is planned. And those billions are all spent to get one thing and one thing only: your attention.
There is a war in your time. Dozens of multi-billion-dollar enterprises have all waged war against you, and they wouldn't stop until they win. They wouldn't stop until every last second of your time is spent on their platform, and their most powerful weapon, micro-habit manipulation. Now, before I explain what that is, you really need to understand how normal habits are formed. The easiest way to explain that by imagining your brain as a computer. When you do something new, whether it can be learning to play an instrument or getting a glass of water, your brain creates a neutral pathway to remember how to do it. The more that you do that action, the clearer and stronger this pathway becomes. That is the exact same concept with habits in your brain. That is why you can brush your teeth without thinking, because you have done it so much. That is become second nature. You simply do it without consciously thinking. When you are scrolling through the reels, your brain is quite literally not functioning, and we're going to show you a brain scan in a second. Now, the most interesting part is that when your brain turns back on, you don't even remember why you opened the app in the first place. I mean, just think about how many times you have opened Instagram or YouTube in order to search for something specific. But then as soon as you open it, you see a highly clickbaity thumbnail. Click on it and start watching the video. Or you see a reel that starts auto-playing, and without even thinking about it, you start watching it. You have already been sucked into watching this entire reel. You're already on watching the next one. And when you realize that's happening, you don't even remember why you opened the app in the first place. You remember that you had something to do, but you cannot even remember what it was. Why? Because they just reset your brain on purpose. And that is exactly what they want to do. They know exactly what to show you right when you open the app in order to turn off your brain and suck you into consumption mode. You need to understand how habits work. In the book The Power of Habit, Author Charles Duhigg breaks down what's known as a habit loop. That is the process of how and why habits get targeted. What it says that is every habit has three components. First is start with a cue, which is an automatic trigger for a behavior to start. Then there is a routine, which is the behavior itself. And finally, there is a reward that helps your brain remember that pattern for the future. Every habit has clues and reward. And for years, when everyone talked about habit, they would focus on the behavior itself, on the routine. The researchers have found that if you were to look at a brain activity graph during the execution of a habit, you would see that your brain actively peaks twice during the habit process, which is during the cue and during the reward. Now, during the routine, the behavior itself, when you are performing the action of the habit, your brain actively is actually very low, almost as if you are not thinking at all and you are just doing. After all, that is what? A habit. A certain set of action and behavior that have been ingrained in you, so that way you can do them without thinking. And the reason that happens is that your brain can virtually shut down to save energy. Now, guess what? That is exactly what your brain does while watching reels, stories, TikToks, YouTube, etc. That is how social media companies shut down your brain on command. Now, what social media companies also learned how to do was to bootstrap these habits into your brain, just like our researchers did. But here is the evil twist: instead of having to put your brain through an arduous long routine such as running to release the chemical reward. In your brain, they found a way to instantly release one of the most potent and addicting chemical compounds that our body capable of producing it. It's called dopamine. Now the thing is, your brain cannot tell the difference between seeing such a strong visual experience in your screen versus in real life. So, what does it do? In both cases, your brain releases a peak of dopamine and becomes the reward of a habit. And every single time that you get this dopamine release peak, it reinforces such habit. So social media companies create a situation where they give you this very cheap and instant dopamine hit with no effort, and they know that this will cause your brain to seek for more and more of these hits. Dopamine and closely linked to discipline and motivation. Dopamine also helps you focus when you are really focused on something you find interesting, like a movie or maybe even a short 10-second video. Your brain will release dopamine so you continue to focus on that thing. Now, because dopamine feels good, your brain starts associating certain activity with dopamine release, and this phenomenon known as a positive entertainment reinforcement, and this means your brain plays a certain action. Well, they simply feel good and you should therefore do it more often. And over time, this exponentially strengthens the power of a habit. Now, what is the problem with that? The problem is that you cannot consciously just get more dopamine eventually. The brain will start getting used to these high dopamine levels, and that means that you are going to always seek more pleasure-filled activity, and by more combustion, and everything else is going to seem that much more boring. This is how social media platforms have completely hijacked your dopaminergic system. Social media has hijacked what it means to be a human and turned it against us. That's why you have a friend on Facebook. That's why you receive likes. It's all feed into your need to be connected and accepted by your community. Soon social platforms and AI will be so deeply embedded into your brain. Neurochemistry, they will be impossible for you to break free. Honestly, it may even already be too late. We are already discovering how much time you truly spend staring at a screen, but there is still one piece of puzzle that's missing. If we live in an attention-poor world where attention has become the new currency, then how do these companies actually make money off your attention? This may seem obvious to some of you, but it's extremely important to understand exactly how this mechanism works. Consider this: how much do you pay to use Instagram? What about YouTube? TikTok? Well, these are all primarily free platforms, and in the line with the saying, if you are not paying for the service, that means you are the product. Social media and phones take too much of our time. Let's break free, take back control, and change our story. Time to make a move.